Hello my friends, and welcome back to another watercolor tutorial. Today we are painting another nature landscape in portrait position, and it's going to have the tiniest little hint of city in it. And this is inspired by the Easy Peasy art, and I'm just going to get right into it. So I'm going to take a blue. I have like a baby blue color here, and I'm going to start with the top. So our sky is going to come about, I would say, 2/3 of the way down our piece of paper, but we can definitely go a little bit further than that, just to ensure that that we have enough coverage, because we're going to be painting like a few layers of mountains. So, you know, I'm going to take yellow next, and instead of going from the blue downwards, I'm going to go upwards. And the reason that I'm doing this is because yellow tends to take on and blend the colors surrounding it. So it's a lot easier to go upwards than downwards. And I went like super thick with the yellow because now we're gonna blend in orange and do the same thing. And I just wanna ensure that the orange doesn't take over the yellow. That was kind of a yellow orange. So I'm going to pick up actual orange now and go like that. Okay. And then I wasn't intending on it, but I'm just going to do a little bit of red at the bottom here. It's like a reddish orange. And I wasn't going to do this part either, but now that I look at it, just to ensure that there isn't this rigid line, I'm going to blend out the orange and just extend it all the way down. And the reason I'm doing this is because we're going to be painting a few layers of mountains from here to here-ish. And if I just left that orange the way it was, that would have been a really harsh, dark line in contrast to the white. And so when we paint our first layer of mountains, which is supposed to be the lightest, because that's how one of the ways we show distance, that orange harsh line would probably show through those mountains, and it would be unfortunate. It would definitely take away from this painting. So that's why we are going with that route. So I'm going to let this completely dry, and then we'll come back and do the next step. So this gradient dried beautifully. I'm not always super happy with my color combinations when it comes to skies, but this one is beautiful in my opinion. So let's just jump into the next part here. I'm just deciding what brush to use, because I do want a nice sharp tip so I can get nice peaks in the mountains, but at the same time I want volume so that it doesn't take 12 brush strokes to just achieve one mountain range. I'm gonna try my size 3 here and see how that works out for me. And I'm trying to also decide what hue or color to use for the mountains, or at least the first layer. So I think I'm gonna go with this like grayish blue, and perhaps add a tiny bit of purple to it. You do not have to be this picky. Like honestly, just if you don't want to even think about that, just take black and water it down a bit. Because like I said earlier, we do want to create depth. One of the ways we show depth or distance is making the things in the foreground darker than the things in the background. And because we're gonna have probably 3 or 4 layers of mountains, we want the ones that are furthest away to look like they're furthest away by making them a little bit lighter. Okay, so that's why we'd water down whatever color that you're using. Sometimes it's hard to kind of decide how much to water it down because you don't know what it's going to look like on your piece of paper until you do your first brush stroke. So I guess to err on the side of caution, just go with a lighter, like a more watered down version. And then if you think it's too light, you can always add more, but it's harder to do the opposite. So I'm gonna start this like about halfway through my orange here. And I'm gonna have like I always have to keep in mind that this is going to dry lighter than it looks like when it's wet. But it's hard to, you know, remember that when you're painting it. You're like, ah, this is way darker than I thought. So you can have as many peaks as you want in your mountain range. I kind of wish I did this in landscape position rather than portrait, because I've been doing a lot of portrait landscapes. So I'm blending this out so that just like with that orange, there isn't a harsh line. And this is like super, super light, so I'm not bothering going all the way down. But see how you can still see that orange through this? If we hadn't blended that orange out in the background, that would have been like a solid line. And, you know, I'm sure there's ways to rectify that. We would have fixed that, addressed it, but, you know, why just not have to deal with that aspect? So when you're happy with this first layer, I just want to give this a little bit more something. I kind of want to do 2 layers in one without waiting for one to dry. But you don't have to do that. Again, just blending that out ever so slightly. Okay, so something like this. All right, I was gonna say let's let this dry, but as I'm looking at this, it kind of looks like there are clouds here, and these are just mountain tops peeking up through the clouds. Do I completely pivot this painting and make it? I do that a lot in paintings. I have this like vision of what something is gonna look like, and then I see something else in the painting and it goes completely a different direction. And I'm super tempted to do that, but no, we're just gonna stick with the original painting. Let's blow dry this. Okay, so that layer should be dry. We can go ahead and create a darker layer now. So I am just taking that original like purplish gray that I was using, and I'm adding black to it. So it's a little bit darker. Maybe blue would have been better. Let me just take a little bit of blue. This, by the way, guys, do not get hung up on the colors. Like, you just want to go lighter to darker. Please don't be like, oh, I don't see what colors she's combining. Don't, like, this is just me being annoyingly particular for myself, but like, don't worry about it. Just add a little bit of black, make it darker. Whatever color you used for your first layer of mountains, add a bit more black, or don't add as much water, and you'll achieve the same thing. So this layer is going to probably be like our city layer, and then we're gonna have 2 layers of mountainous trees or tree covered mountains. So you just, I don't really have a way of like explaining this is how you do it. I just kind of go for it and hope that it looks good and make adjustments as I go. So these, you don't want to add peaks because it wouldn't make that much sense if we're making this a city, if we're going to add lights, very subtle lights. Unless you don't want to make this like a city mountain, then just make it a mountain peak, and there's totally nothing wrong with that. You can by all means do that, and it'll look gorgeous, I'm sure. But I am just doing the same thing I did with the other one, which is blending this out. This one I might blend out all the way because it's a little bit darker, and I'm just a little bit nervous about it showing through. So just doing that. Okay, now we have to let that dry, although I want to darken this portion just a tad. Okay, now we can blow dry this. Okay, so I hope that's dry. I'm going to now take a much darker color, and it depends how many layers you're doing. So this is gonna be a blue mixed with a black, mixed with that purpley gray color. Maybe I should water it down just a tad so it's not, because this, I don't think this is my final layer, so I don't want it to be crazy dark. I need to think about this. We'll just start with something like this. Some of this is going to be covered, like there's going to be a foreground in front of the mountains. Keep that in mind. I don't know if I mentioned that. Not that it's like super relevant in the early stages, but now what I want to quickly do before that dries is make this look like there are a bunch of like pines or peaks of some sort. So I'm just taking a liner brush here, and this one's a 00, but like any liner brush works, even thick ones, as long as you have the nice sharp point on the end. And here, this is just extra, like we are really, this is unnecessary. But you know me, I do like to do things that are totally unnecessary. And you know what, while we're at it, I'm not even gonna wait for this to dry. I'm just gonna be bold, and I'm gonna really quickly add black to that hue color, I don't know what it's called, and just swoop on in. And then run that all the way down. Just have to be careful with this cauliflower situation. And I'm just gonna do the same thing with those pointed tree peaks on that addition that I just painted. And I'm going to just run down, because this part's a little bit lighter. So I'm just gonna run lines all the way down. Make it look like there's trees or something growing down there. Actually, that looks really bad, so I'm gonna fill that in. Scratch that idea. Okay. I wish I had left more space in this middle part for the city, because I'm looking at it now and there wasn't much left to work with, but we are just going to roll with that. So I'm gonna pop out my white acrylic paint for this. You're more than welcome to use, like try doing watercolor or using white gouache. But basically we are going to just add tiny dots, not really necessarily in a random way, but I try to make some of them, dot them in a line just to make it look like there's, like you're looking at a city and there's like a building or something like that. This would look much better if I could just do like tap my brush and it would speckle everywhere, but if I did that, then obviously my dots would go everywhere. So my mom has been visiting for the last, it's been over a week now, and it has been amazing. Just like the biggest blessing. I've said this before, but the people that have family close by, if you, sorry, I got distracted. If you have family close by and you have people to watch your kids, you don't know how good you have it. It's, my mom lives 4 hours away. So when she comes for several days at a time. And this time we were blessed with over a week. And she watches our toddler for like 10 hours a day. She does all the meals and puts her down for a nap and does all that stuff. And it lets me get so much done. So, sorry, just a little intermission here. I don't know when to stop with these lights. So I'm gonna just stop there for now. We can always go back and add more, but I just want to maybe focus on some other things for a little bit. First of all, I'm tempted to add another layer, an even darker layer of trees down here. But I think I won't. I think I'm just gonna leave it. And instead we're gonna focus on painting actual like large evergreens, pine trees, whatever you wanna call them, in the foreground here. Whew, I haven't done that in a while. I haven't painted pine trees in a while, especially not that detailed. So I'm a little bit nervous about this. So we're gonna have one larger one over here. Is this on the camera? Yes, it is. So I have got, if you're new to my channel, I have so many pine tree painting tutorials on this channel. I have on my Skillshare a tutorial or like a Skillshare class featuring 8 different techniques to painting pine trees. Like that one I've had really great feedback from, because like there's so many different ways to paint them, and some styles work for some people and others work for others. So definitely check that out. I have a free trial link in my description, I believe, if you're interested. But I have different styles for different paintings, generally speaking, but when I'm doing very detailed pine tree paintings, I don't really know what it's gonna end up looking like until I start the painting, because I don't know, I start painting and my paintbrush just does what it does. Obviously I'm controlling the paintbrush, but I don't know, sometimes it just comes very naturally, and sometimes I have to be more intentional. But anyways, I don't know what technique this is. You can replicate this technique or just go watch all of the tutorials that I have on pine trees, and hopefully one of those will be helpful in some way. Or if you already have your own technique, even better. Just do what works for you. So yeah, as I was saying, my mom's been here for over a week and we have been able to get so much done. Like, she came at the perfect time because we have been trying to get our landscaping done in front of our new house. And if you are a member of mine on my YouTube membership program, then you would have seen I posted like a before and after picture of our house, of like the landscaping, the outside, because we just finished building a new house a few months ago, and yeah, just landscaping was not part of the builder's quote, so that was our responsibility to take care of. And landscaping, I feel, is one of those luxury trades that people with a lot of money can afford and pay for, and good for them. But we just did not have that kind of budget. And it's crazy how much the prices vary for the exact same job from company to company. We got 3 quotes, and one of them was $3,000, one of them was $4,000, and one of them was $6,000 for just laying sod. I was like, whoa, we are doing this ourselves. We are doing everything ourselves. So we just paid for the material, which was also like an astronomical amount. Just the sod for like 1,800 square feet was, I think it was almost $2,000 Canadian. And mind you, they charged a ridiculous delivery fee. I've never paid $500 for delivery, even for things of the same size in terms of pallet size, because they delivered 3 pallets. Like, Rona delivered my 2 pallets of flooring for free. Why is this so expensive? It's only 40 minutes away, but whatever. Like, there was no other way we were gonna get this sod. So, but yeah, very, very expensive stuff. So we had to install it ourselves to save on some of that cost and do all the landscaping ourselves. And I'm so pleased with how it ended up turning out. We did like this patio at a flagstone on the left side with a walkway going to the driveway. And then we did, I DIY'd this flower bed on the right side using bedrock that was excavated during the foundation part of our build. So that was fun to be able to, you know, use materials from my own property. I have plenty of these bedrock rocks left over, so I'm like trying to figure out what the heck I'm gonna do with all of them, or if they're just gonna sit in a pile. What else? And then of course we laid sod everywhere, and then there's this huge section that was cleared on the side of our house that we will eventually use at, like, I'll expand my vegetable garden, but it will also be used as like a grassy lot where we have our chicken tractor for meat chickens. That's the plan anyways. So we had to put topsoil there so we could seed that. Which is much easier than laying sod, I will tell you that. But we wanted sod in the front so that our toddler can have somewhere to play. Since summer is, well, it should be here, but it's really taking its time. Like this whole week, it's May 20th, something like that, and this whole week has been 11 degrees Celsius. So I don't know what is going on with this weather, but typically in normal years, like we've already had 25-degree days for weeks. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but it's cold and I don't like it. So yeah, without my mom being here watching our daughter, there's no way we would have been able to do all of that. Like, she is just a trooper, and having a grandma like that is invaluable. It's just, I only wish she lived closer. But alas, it is us that moved away. So I cherish the time that we have when she is here with us. But she's leaving tomorrow morning, I think. So I am trying to get in some last few things, like filming a tutorial and just some things that aren't as easy to do when she's not here. And yeah. Okay, so I realize now that my last layer of mountains is super dark. In fact, it is so dark that my pine trees are blending in, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like, maybe that's what you want, and that's great, but that's not what I want. So I'm gonna take a little bit of green and try to just add some green accents to these pine trees to help differentiate them just a tad from this black blob that I have created. My daughter loves my grandma. It's so beautiful seeing the relationship they have, because when I see it now from a parental perspective, it's exactly the same relationship that I had with my grandma, with my mom's mom. And the things, like the way that I see my mom treat her, it's exactly how my grandma treated me. And it's like a completely different experience remembering all those things from your own childhood when you have a child yourself and you're seeing those same things and experiences unfold. And my daughter is so lucky to have such a caring and loving grandmother. And she loves my mom. In the morning, actually, it's my husband that typically gets up with my daughter, because he gets up early to get ready for work anyway. So he'll like get her up, get her ready, and feed her breakfast. And then when he's walking out the door, then I'll get up and take over. But on weekends, I try to be the one to get up and do breakfast and all that. And so last weekend when I got up and I'm like, oh, do you wanna go see Dad? Because my husband was still in bed, obviously. And she shook her head and she's like, babcia, which is in Polish, babcia means grandma, because I speak Polish to her predominantly. And I just thought that was the cutest thing, that she wanted to go see grandma over daddy. And she loves my husband. So it's just so sweet that she has such a good relationship with the people that matter most, you know? So just very, very grateful. Trying to focus more on the things that we do have than the things that I wish we had. Things I wish we had were closer proximity to grandma, but we have it really, really good. So I should not complain. I should be happy for the time that we do have with grandma. So I took some white and mixed it in with that green, and I'm going over those details again, just to bring out like a little bit more brightness and distinguish those trees from the foreground of the mountains. Also, I'm really feeling like the sky is looking very bare, and I don't want to do this again, or I'm like, ooh, just flicker some stars in the sky. But man, it makes a painting come together when you do that. So I think I'm gonna do that. I could add birds in the sky. I could add a little moon. Maybe I'll add a moon, but I'll probably add stars too, because why the heck not? So the moon I'll have quite low. Like that. I don't know how I feel about this moon. Whatever. And then I'm going to add a little bit of white acrylic paint there and mix some water into it and go, hold on, first I'm gonna just cover that. That is not working very well. It's a hit and miss with the acrylic paint. So I'm just tapping my brush. No, that's not helping me. So I'm gonna take silver watercolor, because I've got these gorgeous metallic colors, part of my palette. I don't know how I feel about that. What color is this? I've got so many metallic colors here that I've never ever tried. And I don't know if experimenting with them on this paper is a very good idea. But I really got to wrap this tutorial up. This is taking a very long time. Oh, okay, this is very random, and I know it's at the end of the video, so I don't know if very many people will hear this or see this. Oh, that was ugly. I really wish I didn't do that with the metallic. That is blah. It kind of looks, the sky looks dirty now. Boo. Let me take some white acrylic paint and just manually add some stars, because you know what I should have done? I should have like painted on the Big Dipper or something with the stars. That would have been really cute. Instead I ruined it with metallic paint where it does not go. Some decisions that I make. So yeah, really quickly, I am thinking of moving my membership, my YouTube membership, over to my Patreon, reviving my Patreon. Because I have realized that YouTube does not take 30%. They take like 55% of your YouTube membership profit, which is a lot compared to Patreon, which takes, I think, 5%. And so everything would remain the same in terms of the extra content I offer, but it would be on Patreon. So let me know if that is something that you guys would be interested in. Because this is not sustainable. Like, they're taking most of my earnings, and I'm getting very little for the amount of extra effort I put in. So, and I'm also pretty sure that the people that are paying to have a membership on my channel would prefer the money actually go to me and not a billion-dollar corporation. Don't hate me, YouTube. I love you. Okay, so this is our painting. I really am regretting the metallic stars. That was a mistake, but I can't just blend it out, unfortunately. So we're just gonna have to live with the decisions we make. and trying to peel this so it all comes off in one square so I can reuse that tape. And there we have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Please let me know what you think, what you would have done differently, and I will see you in the next tutorial.